And retail sales came in hot for the month of July, up 0.7% compared to June. If you exclude autos and gas, sales were up 1%. This is the largest gain in 6 months, boosted by e-commerce, which was up 1.9%, likely thanks in part to Amazon Prime Day. Both of these numbers, by the way, blowing away estimates. And we also saw some upward revisions for the 2 prior months. In other words, consumers are spending. If you look at some of the other areas where they were spending, it wasn't just online. Food, services, and drinking places also saw gains of 1.4%. So we continue to see momentum in that area, and indeed, that actually accelerated in that area.
Yeah, and some of the key areas that we continued to kind of look through over the past month to see where there is some moderation here. And I look at the vehicle part of this particular report, too, because motor vehicle parts and dealers, that's still high. That's up right now, at least year-over-year change, 3.4%. But some of the other areas where you're actually seeing some of the larger decreases, and this is something to keep in mind even as we talk about some of the other retail earnings report that are set to come out this week. Year-over-year changes down. Furniture and home furnishing stores, that's down by about 3.8%. You saw the year-over-year change for electronics and appliance stores. That's still down by about 2.1%. All of these different categories where we've heard from Target, we've heard from Walmart, and some of the specialty retailers about where consumers are being more stringent about where their dollars are going, and that playing a role in some of the other earnings that came out even this morning in those big ticket purchases. So with regard to that, keep a close eye on that part of this broader retail sales equation at this point.
Yeah, I'm also looking here at some of the other numbers that month over month that saw increases. Clothing up 1.0%. Sporting goods, hobby, musical instrument, and bookstores, they throw a lot in that one, up 1.5%. So those were some other areas of strength. Electronics and appliances down. Furniture and home furnishings, you mentioned, down year over year, also down month over month. And the same goes for autos. So there were some areas of weakness, but you know, the non-store retailers one really stands out to me, and the clothing one stands out to me as well, because that too is a re-acceleration. So, you know, it's interesting here, especially as we get into the retail earnings season, to see that strength in apparel specifically. You know, we've been talking to some analysts who cover the sector recently who have been a little bit more positive here. You know, we talked to Simeon Siegel last week in the wake of the Tapestry agreement to buy Capri, but he also said that we are now at, you know, we keep using that word normalization, but we are, he said, at a more normal level in terms of inventory for many of the apparel and specialty retailers that now will allow, you know, strong and weak management teams to come to the fore rather than the inventory winds of change that they were all subject to.
Yeah, and also keeping a close eye on how those management teams, especially across department stores, which within this report, you take a look at that department stores line, and month over month here particularly, that jumped out to me as well, because we did see a decline month over month by about 3.4% within the department stores specifically. Think about companies like Macy's. Think about companies like Nordstrom, and Nordstrom, of course, the subject of one of the more viral videos right now, having to deal with shrink. Many of these companies having to think about that in one facet or another. But for the department stores and where they are seeing some of that wavering in favorability, at least on the sales side or on the pricing side, that's going to be particularly interesting to see how they're managing through inventory that they may have as well, given the pushback in price that they're seeing among the consumers. So that jumped out to me just a moment ago here, even as I'm taking a look at Macy's shares, fractionally lower here pre-market. Nordstrom shares down by about 1.7% here pre-market too.